All right. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to spotlight myself, but I just realized that I don't have host rights. But it's good to be with all of you today. I'm very glad. I'm happy to have men. So when we have men like this, we normally shout "man alive." So it's men alive. Thank you. Konito was following up on me today to make sure. Was like, don't forget to. I said, Konito, come on, man. I didn't even reply him. I was like, come on, man. I have integrity. If I say I'm gonna show up, I will show up. But I've had a wonderful day today. I hope your day too have been very eventful. I had to go get a haircut because I will be traveling. I'll be in the US in the next 2 days, and I'm looking forward to that. Also, maybe one of these days I'll show up and just hang out with you guys for a week, and we'll be able to have a great time. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to do a very quick, very quick one. For those who were not here last week, I'm just going to show you a bit of what we did last week. Shayo, please let me know, confirm if you can see me and what position. Do you think this position is good? Is this position good, or should I change?
I think it's all right.
It's okay. So the stuff is overhead, right?
It doesn't say the is missing, but we can see everything else.
Okay. What if I do this? Okay. I think this is what I used last time.
That's better.
Yeah, this is better. Okay. All right. So this is much better. Thank you. It's always good to get a feedback. All of those in Toastmasters, we always tell ourselves that feedback is the food drink of champion. That's what we eat when you get a feedback. So last week we looked at this thing, and again there was a little slight error that I made last week. I said I talked about knowing, doing, and becoming. The argument we had initially was on knowing, doing, and being, knowing, doing, and being. So many people were like, okay, we have to be first because we are human beings. We are not human doings. So you can imagine the argument we had. So people were like, okay, you have to be first. I say, how can you? Okay, I agree if you be, but what is the role of knowing in your being? So, but ultimately, everything goes to us becoming. And that is when I began thinking about this ecosystem. And I thought from that ecosystem last week. I'm not going to spend too much time. If you missed it, you may have to go on YouTube or somewhere where the recording is domiciled, and you go and take a look at it. So the root is knowing. Okay, that is the source. So you know. When you know, obviously the things you know, you begin to do. I introduce you guys to the triangle of habit formation. The same way you build a habit is the same way you break a habit. If you know how to do something, because you know, but you don't have opportunity to do that thing, you cannot form a habit. Now, if you know how to do something and you have opportunity to do that thing, but you lack the desire to do that thing, you're not going to form a habit. So habit formation, excuse me, I think I have, there's a phone ringing somewhere around me. Excuse me. Somebody actually left their phone plugged. Helping somebody plug their charge their phone, and it's ringing. Anyway, so habit formation is where the intersection between what you know and what you like doing and what you have opportunity to do. When knowing, a desire, and opportunity come together, then you're going to have habits, good habits or bad habits. That's just how it happens. Good habits or bad habits. All right, so but in this case, we're looking at good habits, and the way you can break a habit is if you can take one of them out. If you can take out the desire, if you can kill the desire, then most likely you're not going to form the habit. So it's very, very important that we know that. Now, if you can also take out which you can't really, knowledge, if you can expound the knowledge of something, then you'll be able to deal with it. So that's how just it happened. Now, if you can't deal with desire, but you can limit the opportunity of that thing, then you will do well. In other words, if you know that going to a place will lead you to doing what you don't want to do, then don't go to that place. If you know that keeping your phone so close to you will get you not to be focused in reading your book. If you're a student, then get your phone away or turn it off. Or does it. So what you know becomes what you do, and what you do is now what you become. All right. So we look at that interconnectivity where everything comes together. That's where the ecosystem. And we talked about the things you must avoid. You must avoid situation where you just know, where you are knowing without doing. If you know without doing, then what's going to happen? You're going to become an arrogant scholar, like a Pharisee. You know so much, but you're not practicing it. It's like you know discipleship, you know the church, you know everything, but you don't evangelize, but you don't have any story. You know you should do good, you don't do it. You know you should help you. So Bible says the good you know you should do, you don't do, become sin. So you become an arrogant scholar. That is knowing without doing. So let's please avoid that. So the pitfall is pride and stagnation. The other pitfall is, okay, what about people who just do? You are doing without knowing. Jesus Christ told the Samaritan woman, say, you Samaritan worship what you do not know. Can you imagine worshiping something you do not know? So when you are doing without knowing, you become a tired activist. You are showing up in church, you are doing this thing, you are everywhere. You are doing, but you don't know. So you're going to become a tired activist. So the pitfall is burnout. You're going to burn out. But when you know, when you are doing what you know, then there's going to be a coloration there. There will be able to, there will be a link, there. So the third one is people that have this fantasy of, let's just become children of God, So you want to become without knowing or you're doing, they're going to become a vague dreamer. I shared about this sermon that I heard in 2003. Like I said in my last class, I can't remember anything the brother said, but this expression stuck with me. He said you can either fall into what they call the pious irresponsibility or practical humanism. Practical humanism is believing that you can figure everything out in your life. You are practical. That's practical humanism. Then pious irresponsibility is the same of religious people who think God will come and do what they are supposed to do for themselves. And you hear them saying that God will do it. Now, I'm not saying that God can't do things, but when you begin to just relegate your responsibility, God will do it. You have examination. I will pass, by Jesus' name. But you're not reading your book, you're not studying, you're not going to a class. That's what's going to become. If you're looking for the perfect man or the perfect person, you're going to find it in Jesus. I know it can be very overwhelming to say, am I doing? How is my becoming? Am I knowing? Jesus is the one who brought everything together. He's the one who said is the way, the truth, and the life. So I also made us know that, becoming is a marathon. It's not something that happens just in one day. Somebody once said that the secret of the success of any person is found in their daily agenda. The secret of the success of any person is found in their daily agenda. For example, if you think about the late Michael Jackson, and people say, he can dance a lot, or Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan. What you see is them on the stage, is them playing on the court. But when you go backstage or back home, they spend lots of time. Michael Jackson, we're told, spend like about 3 hours dancing in front of a mirror on his own. Just 3 hours. That is where he's able to gain those dexterity. My Michael Jordan, we heard that even after the teammates have gone, he hires someone to pick a ball for him, and he shoots like about 300 baskets or so, until anything he does, he will just enter. So that is what you do. Your knowing leads to your doing. Your doing obviously will begin to now influence your becoming. So be patient with yourself. Just take it one step at a time. So on one sheet, this is what we discuss. Here is your knowing. If you are knowing, but you're not doing and becoming, you're going to become the arrogant scholar. If you are doing without knowing or becoming, you're going to become retired activist. If you want to become, because you can't even become, if you desire to become, but you don't know or do, you're going to become a vague dreamer. You are just going to deceive yourself. So I talked about that. In coaching, we call it the wheel of life. I just talked about this. I call it the triangle of life. So where you'll be able to find out where are you right now on a scale of maybe 0 to 4 or 1 to 10. You just have that triangle. This one is your becoming. This one is your doing. Let me get my pointer. Okay, this is your becoming. This is your doing, and this is your knowing. So find out on a scale of 1 to 4, where are you? You'll find out that you don't have an equilateral triangle. And don't worry about that if you don't. That simply means that you have some work to do. All of us have work to do. Myself inclusive. Jesus is the only person who had everything together. So today, I actually want to continue on this trajectory. But I said, well, since today is the last day, I'm going to be with you. Let me give you something equally very practical. All right, very, very practical. And it's something that is us, that has to do with us. And in my few years of being a disciple and of course a minister in church, there are several people here, some people here who have been in my ministry. And I tell people, I've never had a problem of discipling in my ministry. People say, oh, what does that mean? I said, we just love hanging out. We just like, So I think one of the areas that is going to help you to pull these things together in coaching, I'm helping currently about 300 disciples across Nigeria and West Africa. There's this stuff I began last year. It was so successful that people said, let's do it again this year. So about 300 or thereabout people showed up, and it's called SAMP. SAMP is the Success Attainment Mentorship Program, where we are mentored every week. Okay, there's mentorship every week. We pair people up. We have book reading. We have devotionals, and they make up their goals. And our the goal is to help them meet their goal. And people are meeting their goal. It's not funny, incredible. So one of the key things that helps you in meeting your goal is when you have an accountability partner. Now, if you don't want to achieve something, then don't tell anybody. Okay, for me, if I want to achieve something like record time, I will tell my wife. If you're married here, you know what I mean. If you tell your wife that you're in trouble, women are designed to just get you to meet your goal. They will hound you and hound you and hound you. But if I don't want to get things done, I don't talk to my wife. So let's talk about this. What about discipling? And I'm going to key it into becoming. All right, I'm going to key because I'm a life coach also. So I help people to get from point A to point B, to where they need to be. And I'm going to be teaching you methodology today of something you can do. After studying it, if I did, this thing came up during my seminary days. I took a course, a minor course in counseling in my master's. And in fact, I was also have 2 masters, at the same time, masters in biblical studies and masters in counseling. And unfortunately, well, maybe, I don't know, the courses, I needed just a few courses, maybe like 4 courses to finish up to have double my masters, but they were not ready. The courses were going to be held like a year's time and everything. So I just switched to do my PhD. So that's how I started my PhD. I applied to a school for my PhD. And because I've done so much, in fact, my credit unit was way more than anybody who have done a master, because I was going for two degrees at the same time. So I wrote a paper, to do my master's. I began to question this thing called discipling. I began to ask, why do we have a discipling problem in our church? Why is it that some people resent it, some people embrace it, some people, and also believe that he has done more damage than good. Some people believe that he has done more good than damage. But in any case, there have been some damages that have been done, but there have also been some good. So I ask the question, what about discipling? So there are 3 scriptures that we normally use when we talk about discipling in our church. And those scriptures are Matthew 28, make disciples of all nations, baptize them, teach them to obey everything I've commanded. All of us, we know that passage. You might not know any other thing, but you know that passage. Then we looked at the story of Samuel and how first time how David found strength with Jonathan, how he was able to help him. And we say the discipline is one man finding strength in another man. Then we looked at Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 9 that says two are better than one because they have a better reward for their toil. If one falls down, his friend, not a stranger, his friend will help him up. But the Bible says, pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. So a lot of people today are lonely spiritually, because a lot of people are battling what I'll call trauma of the past. And I'm going to be letting you know why I believe some of these things have happened to us. And hopefully we are going to find some answers. Now, I'm going to analyze those scriptures. Now, we know Matthew 28 and everything. The Bible says, teach them to obey everything I've commanded. Teach them, it didn't say teach them to know. Teach them to obey. So this model seems to be a way of raising up leaders. It is teaching to obey, not to know. So he assumes that people already know what they are supposed to do, but right now you are simply teaching them how to obey. All right, hold that thoughts, and we're going to go to the second one. Then in First Samuel chapter 2, 2:23, the Bible says, and I'm going to read that just the highlighted one, the emphasis there. It said, Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God. So in this one, it's not about teaching to obey. This one is more about encouraging. And of course, you know the story of David. Saul was a madman. He was trying to kill David, and Jonathan was the crown prince. And Jonathan was great friend to David. So this is the kind of friend the Bible talks about, the friend that sticks closer than a brother. Okay, this is a friend that sticks. So you see somebody helping somebody to find strength. And I'm going to be talking about that. Then thirdly, the Bible said two are better than one. The Bible said they have a good return for their work. If the one falls, his friend, so you can see friend can help him up. He said, but pity the man who falls and has no one. So you know what? It's not good to be alone. So there's something that we'll call the what we'll call it again, the one another passages in the Bible. So when I talk to people, the concept of discipline is based on the one another passages. So I took time to investigate every single passage that talks about one another, talks about helping each other, that everything have to do with that. And I found 31 commands in 53 Bible passages. 31, maybe you can find more, but this is what I was able to discover. I discovered 31 commands in the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, that talks about that, and they are all spread across 53 Bible passages. So the focus, I believe, should be on the how we practice. And I think for many years we have been teaching the what. You remember the knowing. We have taught the what, but we have not taught the how. It's like, for example, when we say, oh, church, we need to devote ourselves to fasting. But how do we fast? Nobody ever wondered, how do we fast? The Bible does not tell us that. The Bible just assumes that people fasted. Or when we say something that, oh, bro, you need to devote yourself you need to meditate on the word of God day and night. Okay, meditate. That is the what. But how do you meditate? So you see, that's where teaching when that comes in. So if you're interested in those passages, these are the passages I found it in John 13, John 15, here 13 times. In Romans 12 one time, in Romans 12 again 10 another time. So these are all this is how I calculated it. I looked through them passage by passage, and that was how I was able to to find it. So if you want to take a screenshot, fine. But if not, I can send you guys a PDF of all of this, and I'm sure it's going to help you guys. So I looked through one after the other. So that I got it. So I'm going to wait in case you want to do a screenshot. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean. All right. So you've done that. I'm going to go ahead to the second, the last page. I'm going to do the last page. So I'm going to wait again. to do the screenshots. All right, that is done. Okay, now let's look at where the power of this comes from. Now I'm going to look at the power. What's the power behind this concept of discipling? The power behind this concept of discipling, very, very important. Now, when I looked at it, I actually found, or I want to propose that the power behind this concept of the discipling is found in 2 Timothy 2, 1-2, Romans 15:14, and Exodus 18:17-23. And I'm going to explain what I mean, by that. All this thing about one another, here is where the power really lies. Now, I'm going to take it one, and I'm going to expose to you what we have been missing. Okay, we preach it, we talk it, but there's something we are missing. Now, in 2 Timothy, I've had that passage before many times. First level of discipling was Paul is discipling Timothy is discipling reliable men again. So we talk about the 4 level of discipling, the things you have heard me say from Paul, and trust to reliable men who are prepared to teach others. But unfortunately, sometimes we read it so quickly, or we have preconceived idea that we don't notice the word. The word is reliable. You don't just entrust to anybody. Reliability, reliable men. And those men who are reliable are those people who are qualified. So when you think about reliability, what comes to mind? Reliability, people who are reliable and qualified. So you can't disciple someone if you're not reliable. Okay, you can't. And unfortunately, we were in a point where we grew so rapidly that somebody who's just a week old as a young disciple is discipling another person again. Sometimes we've had a situation where a teenager was discipling a married man. I mean, that was years ago. We had where a single person, because we just want to get it out. But what about reliability? What about qualification? All right. If I come to you and ask you, who will you rather go and see? If you have a heart problem, will you go to somebody who went to school, went to university, who is a cardiologist, who studied for years and years and years to graduate, or to somebody who just feel, well, I have the gifts, I'm just gifted? How do you know? When I was in high school, I've opened up a frog and I sewed it back, and I opened up a lizard. You won't go to that person because that person is not reliable. That person is not qualified. So before we do that, we have to look at reliability and qualification. In Romans, the 15 verse 14, we normally use that one. Hey, brother, you are competent to instruct. We are competent, but we do not know. He said you are complete in knowledge. Complete in knowledge. That means there is a knowing. Okay. Before you can do, you have to know. So what do you have in your mind that you're going to teach? Thereby, here he said, I know, my brother, you yourself are full of this. You are complete in knowledge and you are competent to instruct. So if I come to you right now and I tell you I am a life coach because I spent weeks, months of training. Okay, I qualified some years ago. I go through assessment every year. My license has to be renewed every year. So you probably will listen to me, because I have competence. All right, I have the knowledge and I'm also competent. I'm a member of the Life Coach Association of Nigeria. I'm an executive member of that place. The ICF, International Coaching Federation, and so on. Okay, so those are the things that give me credibility. Now we look at another thing again. We call the Jethro principle. Jethro was Moses' father-in-law. His other name was Ruel, and so Jethro came to see his son-in-law, and he watched his son-in-law walk every day. And after a while, I just called him and said, well, I can see what you're doing for these people. You are awesome. You are great. I'm sure Moses was kind of like, hey, come and see me, man. This guy was a high priest. Moses lived with him, maybe studied under him. But right now, Moses is leading a nation. He's not a nation. He's a Levite leading a nation. But the father-in-law said, what you are doing is not good. He told Moses, what you are doing is not good. If you continue this way, guess what? I see you every day. You sit down here. People line up from morning till evening. You are going to wear yourself out. And you're also going to wear this people out. So why don't you do this? May God be with you. He said, select some men. Look at some of those places where I've outlined. He said, teach them. There has to be knowledge transfer. Teach them the decrees and the law. Then show them practicals, doing. So there is knowing, there is doing. So you teach them, then you show them the way to live and the duties they are to perform. Then that's about select capable. So that means people who are now, remember the word qualified, people who are now capable men from all the people, men who fear God, one, men who are trustworthy, two, men who hate dishonest gain. So you can imagine there has to be some level of qualification. Even in the book of Acts, for you to serve food, food can cause no trouble. I don't know about over there, but here in parties, people quarrel over food. For you to qualify to distribute food in the early church, you must be filled with the Holy Spirit. Can I get that amen? Bible says, I select men who are filled with the Holy Spirit because it's not easy. So the problem we had is that we skipped all these things and we just jumped to doing without knowing. So you can see how you go. So we want to disciple the world, what whatever, but we were not knowing. We're not really teaching. So how do we now do it? How do you determine the structure to adopt? People have asked me, so what do we do? Do we do over, under? Some people say, I don't want over, under. Do more. I tell you, listen, man, you can do everything depending. You have to study it out. When you're thinking about over, under, disciple relationship, that one works. Especially when the other person is very immature, a young disciple. It's like you having a baby, a child in the house. The child doesn't know how to cook or how to wear the clothes. So you have to help the child. So the person helping must be experienced, must mature, and it has to be need-based, based on need. What about, let's have disciple partnership? Some churches have said, okay, we don't want to have over, under, let's just have partnership. That one also, I say an amen to that one. But you can only have that, that one when both of those partners are mature. Okay, when mature, and it's also based on chemistry, maturity and chemistry, where they can tell, like I have some brothers. Somebody asked me on Saturday, also who's your go-to person? Would you look up to? That was on Saturday, and I said, well, I don't have one person. And by the time I finished mentioning, I mentioned like about 6. I said, when it comes to preaching, these are the brothers that I look up to. I mentioned it 1, 2, 3. From the time I was a campus intern, these are the people who inspired me. When I'm thinking about being a teacher, this is the brother who inspired me that I look up to. In fact, I just had a commission with that brother even today. His name is Douglas Jacoby. When I think about my shepherding, I have one of our shepherds. His name is Ariola, Mr. Israel Ariola. So I have army of people around me, not just one individual. So because I need help from everywhere. So discipline is need-based. Sometimes it can be a special situation, for us to get someone to disciple another person. I remember some years ago, my wife was suggesting we're leading a ministry, then moving out to another ministry, and my wife was advising the new leader coming, the ministry leader, say, you know what, I'll prefer if this person disciple this person because they are both in the same line of work, they are both executive. And the was like, no, you have to be humble. Anybody can disciple anybody. Listen, that is not true. Okay, we are saying, because Bible says you are competent. You see, that is the mistake we made. We want to jump ahead, and I think his leadership is arrogance, really. And this sister didn't take that advice. Guess what? We end up losing that particular sister because a young disciple. She needed somebody who can relate with her job, every single thing. So sometimes it can be based on age. Right now in Lagos, we have what we call the Sarah, group, the Sarah mothers, the Abraham fathers, people who are in their 70s, 80s, 85, 90s. I mean, so you can't have somebody who doesn't understand. And sometimes they can't come to church because they have arthritis, they can't walk. You need somebody who can really, understand. And when people are in school, campus students also, it's very good for them to have their peers, maybe singles, married. So accountability is based in the discipline relationship is for leadership. like as a regional leader or as a church leader, there are people that I disciple because they are the key leaders in my region. They are like the deacons in my region. So I disciple them, or rather, I don't want to use the word now, but let me use the word disciple. I disciple them so that they can help other people. Now, what if we don't use that word discipling? So this is where we now make a paradigm shift. All right. In English, when I was taking English in high school, we were talking about nouns. And one of the nouns we are taught is what's that again? Oh man, my head just went blank. Collective noun. Okay, that's the word. Collective noun. So we're taught that collective noun are words that you use in the singular, but they have plural sense. Collective noun, you use them in the singular, but you actually mean more. For example, a bevy of ladies, a gang of armed robbers, a fleet of cars, a bunch of bananas. So and I start thinking about it. What if that word we call discipling? What if the problem is that we have thought that word means one thing? What if the word discipling is a collective noun? One word, we use it in the singular, but it actually has a plural sense. And that was when I began to write. When I did my paper, I wrote, it was 3. Then about a year or 2, I moved it to 4. About around 1 year to 5. As last year, I moved it to 7. So, brothers, I'm going to introduce to you, and this way I'm going to stop by the way. And I want to introduce to you the 7 gear shifts of discipling. What if discipling is actually something that you do 7 ways that you can do it? Now, I started driving with a manual gear shift. I know some of us also began driving with manual gear. Right now it's automatic. I've been driving now for over 40 years. That's amazing. So you know what it means, to clutch down, to engage, you put it in neutral. I remember the very first time I didn't know that the car was on gear, and I started it and it hit the wall. So discipling is not automatic gear shifts. Discipling is actually manual gear shift where you have to engage. So I'll give an example. So let's say people, and that is why people don't want to meet discipling time in my ministry. People love to get it, but when you do it this way, then it becomes more meaningful. So let's say I meet somebody for that word discipling, but in my mind, I know that I could be doing 7 different things in that discipling. So we meet neutral. The problem is that sometimes we go for discipling, we already have an agenda. Okay, you already planned that, I'm going to rebuke this person, I'm going to show this scripture, and there's nothing wrong in having some things, but don't go that way. You are already going, you are already defensive. Go with an open mind. So when you're going to start your car that is on manual, you put it on neutral. So I'm there, we are hanging out. So how you doing, bro? So then I can decide to engage. So gear 1, it can be any gear, but let's say gear 1. What's up, brother? That in coaching, that is what we do. In coaching. There's an acronym that we use, and I'm going to be sharing that acronym with you. I actually did executive coaching with a company about 2 Saturdays ago, and after I finished doing the live demonstration, and I began to explain to them how I use the acronym. Okay, how I use that acronym. So how do I engage? So I say, okay, what do you want to talk about? Why are we here? So you initiate. Now, if what that person is telling you, that person can say, okay, bro, you know what? I want to know how you match your clothes. I'm just using that for example. Or I want to be as fit as you. Now, I'm not that fit, believe it or not. I want to be better than I am right now. Oh, bro, I want to be fit. I want to, so when somebody says something like that, that person is making the focus me. So I automatically know that what this person is asking for is called mentoring. Inside the wheel of discipling, what is asking for is called mentoring. Now, if you have watched the movie Odyssey, or you've read the book Odyssey was written by Homer. True story that happened during the Trojan War. So this king what was going to join all this other king to go and fight the Trojan War, and he knew that. I mean, they were there for like 10 years. They actually sieged Troy. Where's Troy? This is Troy. This is I was in Troy like 2 years ago. So this is the Trojan horse. So they were there for like 10 years. So he was not sure, and he was warned that if you go on this trip, it's going to be very, very bad. So on his way back, he lost his way and he began roaming around the sea, and that is the story of Odyssey. Today we have a car, a Honda car that is called Odyssey. That means it's a car that can go on a long journey. But I don't want to tell you that this car is notorious for transmission issues, but that's another day, another sermon. So before Odysseus, went out, his son was underaged. All right, his son was underage. So what he did was to entrust his son, to his best friend to please teach him everything while I am not there. Okay, so that he can become a man, so that in case I don't come back, he can take over, the kingdom. And the name of that friend is mentor, and that is where the whole concept of mentoring comes in. So mentoring is when somebody comes to someone to learn to be like that person. So sometimes in discipling, it could be mentoring. It could be, oh, I want to preach like you. Oh, I want to be able to learn how to study Bible like you. So the person, the mentor, becomes the focus. The mentee is called after the to come, and it is depending on the availability of the mentor, and of course the seriousness or the hunger of the mentee. All right. So when I go for discipling, I figure out, what this person is asking for is mentoring. Now, what if this person comes right now and said, you know what, I want to finish my exams, my master degree in the next 1 year. I've been slacking, or I would like to finish a course I'm doing. That person has a goal, or I want to buy a house, or I want to get married. So that's a goal. So already I know that, okay, this person wants to meet a goal. That is not mentoring. So what I do, I switch to the next gear, and that gear is called coaching. You only coach somebody that wants to meet a goal. You don't mentor, that person. So if you don't know how to apply the gear shift of a car, you are going to burn the gaskets. If your car is in a ditch, or you are trying to climb a hill, gear 1 is always the best. Put in gear 1, it has more power, it pushes you, it can drag another car, but you cannot keep using gear 1. So you must learn to switch. That is what the automatic gear shifts does for us. Without you even thinking about it, he does all of those things automatically. But when it comes to becoming is not automatic, it is manual. You have to engage. There are certain things you have to do so that you can become. Certain things you have to know so that you can do. So that is where coaching we come in. So coaching is about getting somebody to meet a goal. Now, what if that person comes and all he's talking about is about, oh man, I'm not feeling good, and I say, what's going on with you? I don't know. There's something that happened. When I was a child. It's still bothering me, and I know that now what he's talking about is in the past. So I have to now engage the reverse. So it's not every time you move your car forward. Sometimes you put it on reverse. So counseling is going to the past to understand the present, and hopefully, if you have the tools, to move the person to where they need to be. So counseling is going to the past. So like somebody come yesterday and the person was talking about a trauma that this person had, a trauma in the marriage, not with the spouse, but with the in-law. And now the in-law is going to come, and this person is like, I'm going to go back. So it's about, I'm going to freak out. So it's about going back. So I have to take this person farther and farther to understand. A lot of times we want to prescribe, but we don't do a better job in understanding. We have to go back. So that is what counseling is all about. But of course, you don't just counsel somebody and leave that and leave the person alone. Now, so I'm trained as a counselor, I'm trained as a mentor, I'm trained as a coach, and also have to now do therapy. So I am certified therapist in NLP, EFT, and many things you don't want to know, including hypnosis. NLP stands for neuro linguistic programming. EFT is emotional freedom technique. So in other words, I can free you of trauma. I know because I'm certified. I trained and I practicalize it, and it really works. So when I know the past, now I can bring that person now to the present. So how do I leave that person? And that is where sometimes counseling falls, because you only talk about the past. So what they call it is talk therapy. Person just talks and they feel lighter and lighter, but their problem is not solved. And that is where therapy now comes in. You see, this one is the most specialized of them all. Don't do it if you don't know what it's all about. Okay, there's some people have become miserable comforters, like the friends of Job. Can you imagine somebody losing a spouse, or maybe a job, losing a job or failing an exam, and you come to the person and say, oh bro, don't worry, the Lord gives, the Lord takes, whatever. You don't say things like that, or don't say, oh, it happened to me also. No, at that point, it's not about you, it's about them. Okay, it's better for you to keep quiet and just be praying for them. Like the friends of Job didn't do any harm. When they came for days, were just quiet. But it is when they now began to speak, they tried to figure out why was Job suffering. And never says things like, oh brother, oh, I understand how you feel. You don't understand how they feel. Even if you have gone through the same thing, you don't understand. Feelings are different. You know how sometimes we say, oh bro, I know what you're thinking. You don't know what I'm thinking. So we now begin to learn. The more we learn, the more we'll be able to understand some of these things. So therapy is now getting them out of that quagmire. Okay, one of the things I did in NLP is called time travel. Time travel and line travel, where I don't have time to explain all this. If I'm not even going to explain to you guys, where I literally lift the person up in their mind mentally, they will see themselves and they will not be able to detach. Why are people stuck in the past? The one word is that we use is emotion. When something happens to, maybe you have a car accident somewhere, or you were mugged in an alley or whatever, what keeps that thing there is emotion. As long as that emotion is tied there, that is going to come, it's going to be coming. So what we do in therapy, we kind of release them. There's things that we do to release that emotion, where they now become very, very free. So if you don't know how to do that, you cannot practice that. Now, there's always a time to stop. There's no perpetual counseling. There's no perpetual coaching. There's no perpetual. Well, there's a time to stop. There's a time for you to even to refer. You might say, you know what? I don't think I'm equipped to help this person. You can, refer to someone. So you can see knowing, doing, becoming. One thing that we can do better is how we can help one another. Okay, we can help. How do we practice the one another passages? If you want to practice it, then you have to know how to do some of these things. Sometimes people are quick to give advice. Like yesterday, you won't believe it, I was in a Zoom meeting with some awesome brothers. And there's a brother there who we normally not hurt a fly. He's so civil, he's so calm, he's so nice and everything. But at the end of the meeting, we're going to feel the guy now poured out his emotion. He poured out his disappointment, and most people have never seen him speak like that before, never. And guess what? Immediately he spoke that way, he came under attack. Hey bro, you need to watch out for your tone. Oh bro, you need to whatever. And I put my hand and said, come on guys, have these guys spoken like this before? Think of this. Is not me? This is not Emmanuel. This is this guy. Has he ever spoken like this before? If someone like this is saying these things, what we should do is to want to hear more. And it happened again today in an international meeting. That I was, after a conference that we had. This is a post-conference feedback we were giving. Somebody made a feedback and said, "Oh, there's this particular stuff there that really go well with her." And next thing was that, "Oh, come on, sister, whatever you get, you take." And I said, "No, you don't do that. First, acknowledge the feeling." So we need to do a better job in acknowledging people's feeling. Acknowledge the feeling. Yeah, what you're saying is true. But not I want to just gloss over, want to quote, disciple them. And that's why the word discipling have gotten a bad rep. So when people think discipling, they think about being harsh. I remember there was a time some years ago, the two disciples, a sister and a brother, they were both ushers in church. And the sister was correcting that brother. And when just snap and say, sister, this was like maybe 20 years ago. It was like, sister, how dare you disciple a brother? And I heard that. And I thought, I said, brother, she was not discipling you. She is helping you. Because we have been able to kind of put a bad rep on that word discipling, because a lot of times it's all about being harsh, it's all about being brutal, it's all about whatever, that we are missing the point of helping one another. So put all these things together. These are the do's and don'ts. These are different between these learning styles. Okay, this learning style we have. The learning method here is coaching. The question to ask is how. So how did this start? How do you feel? Learn to ask the question how. Then the focus is on the present. Coaching on the present. The aim is to improve skill because they want to get to where they need to get to. Then the objective is to raise competence. Okay, so when you can coach people in leadership. So this is good in leadership, in getting us to get to a goal or meeting either a group goal or an individual goal. Now, the second one is mentoring. What question do you ask in mentoring? You ask what? So what can I do for you? What do you want to achieve? Learn to ask what. Now, the focus is in the future. Mentor, I want to be like you. I want to be so, and the aim is to develop, and committing to learning goal. And it's very slow. Mentorship can be very, very slow. The objective is open horizon. People want to, let's open up what they want to be. Then number 3 is counseling. Counseling, the question you ask is why. Remember the how for coaching, what for mentoring, and why for counseling. For why. And the focus now is in the past. Remember, in coaching, present, in mentorship, future, and counseling in the past. Now the aim is to overcome psychological barriers they have. There are some questions that is called the Socrates questions. So I use that question to find out, to help them to break limiting beliefs. By the time I ask you those just 3 to 5 questions, your beliefs will just go, all those things will just go, because I've been trained to do that. Then your objective is to build self-understanding. You need to understand yourself. There are commands that I'm going to begin giving you at this time. And these are things that you shouldn't do. Now, these are the mistakes to avoid. Number 1 mistake, giving advice without listening. Don't be quick to give advice. And by the way, advice is not binding. Even though many years we in our church we thought, oh bro, you didn't take my advice. I don't have to. It's called advice. It's called advice. But the way we've thought, we've gone about it, it's as if it becomes a law. Okay, so stay away from giving advice without first listening. Number 1. Number 2 mistake is showing a judgmental or condemning spirit. That was what happened in the meeting that I was yesterday, when people just came and just blah, give to brother. Well, this guy is not a bad guy. For him to feel this way, that means that it is deep. All right, don't be judgmental. Number 3, number 3, talking too much. Now I'm not talking about me. I talk too much. Okay, I'm a preacher. But there is listening. If you have ever seen me, some of you here have been in several times, I will listen. And when I listen, I mirror you. Okay, I'm not listening with my ear, I'm listening with my eyes. I'm listening. It's called active listening. You must learn to listen and talk less. So how do you do that? By asking powerful questions. Let the person that you are with do more of the talking while you're listening, and you're simply just reaffirming the things they are saying. Number 4 is giving worldly advice. All right, as a church, we cannot just give worldly advice. Even when I do coaching, even with these 300 disciples scattered all over West Africa, everything, even the books that that we read, I match them with the principles in the Bible, because you can find all those principles in the Bible. And number 5, not suggesting homework. In other words, you must give them something to work on. All right, something to work on. Okay, so for every time I finish a coaching session or a counseling session or a mentoring session, the big word is discipling, but I know what I'm doing. I always give them with something to go and do and come back. Now, this is the last scripture I want to share. This is where we'll close. In the closing passage is Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9. Again, 2 are better than 1. Why? Because they have a better toil, a better reward for their toil or their work. If one falls, his friend can help him up. Bible says, but pity the man. And I do say, pity anybody. It is so sad that many people today have fallen, but they have no one to bring them up. But I pray that we are going to form a great band of brothers that we're going to look out for one another, that nobody will be alone in this group, that everybody will have an ear, a shoulder to cry on, whatever. We're going to be together. If you do this, I mean, some of you are witnessed by ministry. We do this, nobody will fall away. Nobody will leave. People will want to stay because it's all about loving when you know how to do it. But if you go and get an expensive car and you don't know how to drive, you're going to wreck the car. Okay, you're going to wreck the car. The church is precious. Human lives are precious. Emotions are precious. But you have to know how you handle it. So, knowing, being, doing, putting together, becoming. And I pray that all of us will become the people, the person that God has ordained for you to become. And this is where I drop the mic. I don't know if I've done well. Thank you for listening. Sorry, I went very fast because I wanted to just conclude this today. This is what I teach in series, but I'm just dropping everything like it's hot.
Wow. Sorry, I'm jumping in, Shayo.
You can. It's fine. You can just take over. That's fine. That's fine because of our time.
That was
fine.
That was deep. That was absolutely awesome. That was phenomenal. I'm definitely going to be watching this video again. I run a couple of businesses. I've got a few people that I work with that I train on a regular basis, and I will be sharing some of this stuff over the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much and it's interesting because a lot of the stuff that you shared, especially going back to the way discipleship used to be looked at, it's interesting that, it's now turned on its head. And what that's done for us, the UK, is that we don't actually talk about discipleship anymore. It's not a subject here anymore because of the way things were back in the day. And thank you for sharing that, because I do believe in the concept of discipleship. But like you said, having a teenager disciple a grown man is exactly happening, and we need to do it the proper way. And I know about the grow model as well. Totally awesome stuff. Thank you. I will be taking this away. I do think we need to implement some of it in Leeds. We do need to go back to just being able to be each other brothers, each other's keepers, our brothers' keepers. We've tried to do stuff in the past where we've tried to match people together, and it's not worked in a lot of the cases. I know for the ladies, it worked. Some of them worked because we did the same thing. But for the gentlemen, it's not worked as much as I would have liked it to have worked. So it's probably something to think about, something to discuss. But thank you so much, Dr. Emeh. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm grateful. Shai, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay.
Please take it. I just had to come up with that.
That's completely.
Thank you.
That's completely